Hi, and welcome to this new tutorial of Nanotech, how to set up it. And yeah, first we have to import a Unity package. Therefore, we're going to select our Unity version. Currently, I'm working with Unity 6.4 here. You get this info here. You have to install and upgrade to get these dependencies installed. Then you press import all. And yeah, before you do this, you should make sure you don't have any Nanotech folder in there. These are just test folders with just different scenes. Here, this test scenes folder. This other is also test scene folder. So currently, I don't have any Nanotech installed in this project. And now I'm importing the package. Then the next dependency is missing. Do need task. We also have to install this. And we can check if the installation was successful if you go to the package manager. And yeah, we have to wait for it here. And here you can see that the Unitask is also installed. You can also update it. And important is birth collection, mathematics, sharp ziplib. These are the main important dependencies you need. Okay, so now we have this scene. It's actually an empty scene. There's no nano objects in here, no nano prefab. So first we go to Nanotech, add Nanotech prefab. Second, we want to select our meshes where we want to add a nano object. Here, nano object. We also can do this here. Yeah, let's just also add it. Another option would be if you select the prefab and directly add in the prefab the nano object and then of course import it. Or add it to the scene, I mean. So that's also another option. This name you shouldn't change, only if you want to use a custom name for your mesh, but then this mesh, nano mesh, should exist. This name is generated from the actual mesh ID data. Okay, so next step. We have this Nanotech object here. There are the sub components that are important. I will talk about them in a minute. First, we just run a build. We can do this directly here. We just building then the meshes here, and here we build the textures to the virtual textures. We always need virtual textures at the moment. Okay, let's just do this. We run and wait for it. Now it's starting to build the textures. Okay, now everything is built, and we currently don't see anything. That's because we have the visibility buffer on, but the path is not on. So we can turn on the path here and then we see everything. Or we just toggle it here. Normally it should auto toggle, but sometimes the first run it might not. It also depends. Sometimes the visibility buffer is slower than the API rendering, so you can just compare the FPS. But we don't want to rebuild. Okay, we just rebuilded it. To avoid this, you should turn on these toggles here, so only the missing nano meshes and nano textures will be generated. Okay, so this is basically it. We're already rendering here with Nanotech. To test this, we should add a like cam here. And for example, we go here closer, and at the moment we don't see anything because we're using the visibility buffer. But we can turn this off. And you also have to turn off render main cam only. And then you see that the meshes are getting clipped. So if you turn around the camera, you will only see, or you see what's getting actually rendered here. Okay, and also you can here, for more details, you can adjust the screen size limit, or you try the global distance. Normally a value between 1 and 2 is good. I think I twisted the camera. Okay, so And yeah, for debug displaying, we can also add a canvas here. This is also quite easy. We just create a button and we link this button to nanotech. Therefore, we just drag this here and select toggle shader. Then we can toggle the cluster rendering here. And we can also toggle the triangle rendering here. If you use the visibility buffer, there's the triangle rendering is there as a default, the debug default. All right. Yeah, so this is basically it. We built the meshes and the textures and add the nanotech prefab here. These are the main steps you need. Of course, you can also build or rebuild a mesh directly here via the build nano mesh, no prompt or setup. With the setup, you get this UI where the mesh settings for each mesh, you can create a prefab, include the textures for building and use the mesh settings. And then you just hit build. And in this case, it's quite fast for the armadillo because it's only a few triangles here, a few triangles to build, so it's quite fast. What you can also do is adjust the nano mesh settings here. You can adjust the collider. For example, collider level 2 is normally default, and then it will create this collider for collision. You can also go here and right click and select the nano tag, create collider, and we'll do basically the same and create this here. If you, for example, go to collider level 4, because we don't have this, can run this again here, create collider, then it will add this collider level 4, but currently you have to manually replace this. Then yeah, you get the collider level 4 here. But I would recommend to use a low-res collision because this is better for performance, even if you use convex. And because if you use high-res mesh and converted convex, it will take a long time to load the scene. So still would recommend using the level 2, level 3, or even level 1. All right. So I think we got this now, or we can also turn all these off now because we built the meshes. Next, we should also add shadows if we didn't do that already. There are still some minor issues with the shadows, but normally they work, at least in HDRP, they work also with the visibility buffer and with the normal default regular rendering. As you can see, with URP, there are still some issues. So I would recommend to turn off the visibility buffer with URP. The moment it's even faster. But later, I think we should really focus on the visibility buffer because it has some advantages. Okay, yeah, we can turn this. This thing, multi-dispatch traversal, is only important if you use a Mac. And here the memory settings are important. I would recommend if you have more complex scenes to increase this to maybe 32 million triangles or even higher, 48. But for a small scene like this, yeah, 2416 is enough. And here for the max cluster count, you can also halve this. Around 200K is normally good enough. Streaming size at the moment, yeah, for more complex scenes, I would double this amount, or you leave it like this for smaller scenes. This could also be turned up a bit higher. If you have global distance 1, you can turn this up a bit, then you get more details. Yeah, local streaming size is not so important. You can keep it at 16 megabytes. Yeah, here you can show the stats. And if you run this, let's do this. We will see at the top information what's actually rendered or displayed. There's still a minor bug with the virtual texturing. but I think I'll fix in the next version. Let's add a fly cam again. So if we move around, you can see here how the cluster count is changing. So if we look away, it's 0, and then see how many triangles we're actually rendering here is in the top. So yeah, you just get the debug over here. And yeah, normally you have to check if you have the high set buffer here. And you can also check if it's working. If you add the depth RT handle debug texture, can scale this up a bit. And then if we are going closer here, you can see that the depth is working. You basically see it if you are very close to the objects. Yeah. So this is important that this works. It should also work in all settings with or without a visibility buffer. Yeah, so I think the next step is to add or test the URP. For this, we just have to switch to URP. We don't have to rebuild anything. You can just switch here, universal render pipeline, confirm. And one thing to check is at the moment I'm using DirectX 11. It's working the best at the moment. There with 12 is also working, but there are some small issues. So still recommending to use DirectX 11. This is automatically set, but you can double check if you want. It switches if you go to URP, and if you're switching to HDRP, it will also change this define. This is actually not needed anymore. It's still here, but currently we're not using any Text Mesh Pro objects in Nanotech, of course, here in Unity, but not in Nanotech anymore. Okay, so because I'm already using this, one thing to know is that the resources, shaders, shader graph, these are important. This shader is for the visibility buffer, and you can also manually convert it. And these other two are for cluster debug rendering and default rendering. And yeah, you can set double-sided materials and normal materials or other materials types, I would say material types. They are set here materials. Basically, these are the two that currently set. So if you use two-sided material, it will also apply or use this base material here. Okay, so next step is URP scene. Let's open, yeah, we can save this one. Let's open this one here. I think we don't, or we already have Nano objects in here. So there, yeah, that's good. And Nano tag objects are also there. So as I said, I would recommend to not use visibility buffer, at least with Unity 6.4. With an older version, I think in 6.1 or in 2022, there's no shadow issue, but at the moment there are some shadow issues. I think I also missed to add the feature. No, that seemed to be added already. And there's this in the universal render pipeline asset renderer, there is this extra render feature, and if it doesn't get added automatically, you have to add it by yourself. You just go here, add, and select Nano URP render pause feature. And yeah, that's the thing you need. It's automatically using deferred, or you can also use deferred plus. Not really matters. Yeah, I think it's let's try increase this a bit and the global distance. Yeah, and we don't have a fly cam apparently. This scene too. If there are issues with the shadow, as you see here, you can adjust this too in the shadow settings. Here you turn down the multiplier. Of course, this can impact the performance, but in this small scene, it really doesn't matter that much. You can also play with the multiplier here and see if this affects the look. And this layer, it's actually not really so important, but at the moment I created an extra layer that only renders the nanotech objects in that layer. So it doesn't matter what you call it. I think I just called it extra here, but you can set it anywhere and just select it. And at the moment, as I said, the shadow rendering system is not very optimal, but as you can see, it works. With the visibility buffers, we have some issues here. The shadow is still rendered, but with as I said, with Unity 6.4, they changed something in the API. So apparently there seem to be some changes that I have to adjust first. That's why I would recommend, if you want to use these shadows, you just currently don't use the visibility buffer, but I think in the next version or so it will be fixed. What else? If you wonder why it's saying trying this 1K, Unity doesn't get the internal rendering from Nanotech. That's why it's always saying 1K rendering here. But if you want to have a look at the rendering frame debugger, you can have a look how many draw calls. So actually there's in one empty draw call. It's basically doesn't eat anything. Then we have this one draw call for everything and the plane because it's not a nano object, but all the other objects are rendered as one draw call. That's basically it with the shadows. For the settings, you can also turn off virtual textures here if you have any issues with them, but then you will see no textures. But you can basically do this mainly for debugging. Also debugging here, this still works. And then this visibility buffer pass, you don't need this in URP because you're using the render feature here. This is basically replacement for the visibility buffer from HEP. That's just there because it's in the prefab, but it's not used. For the mesh building, we have some global settings. I would recommend that you all keep them as they are. Just check if you have this curve applied. Run Metis and parallels. Should be on. And just keep the settings as they are, and then it should be fine. Now, if you want to try different compressions, I would only recommend, if you have a slow machine, you could try turn this off. But then you have to rebuild all the nano meshes. You don't have to rebuild the textures, but you have to rebuild the nano meshes because it's a global setting. So all of them using this one here. But it's more compressed with reuse the vertices. Another thing, the virtual geometry streaming, that's basically here the settings. I think you should not really touch them. You can play with them here. For example, you can change this for a higher value, but normally they are fine at the moment for big and small scenes. And finally, I want to show you here the currently scene I'm still working on. There are some issues with the performance still. I mean, it's over 60 FPS, so actually that's good, but we still have some lagging and also some popping up, and a few issues I want to address before we can release anything that's useful for you, because the goal is really and that's also this demo is inspired by Wukong, the game. I really like how they implemented the style and the detail, and so also here was trying to get this Asian look, and Yeah, the idea is to really get this scene fluently running, also of course with textures and shadows and things. But at the moment, I'm just doing step by step and really figuring out where the performance issues are, and it doesn't make sense to just put everything in and hope it works. That's not how it normally works. You really have to go step by step and really find out why some things are currently not as great as they are, and really yeah, currently there's some GPU shading things that we need to improve. Also the visibility buffer is still too slow. I don't know why this is. Probably also some shader issues with it. We need to optimize because normally this should run faster, even if it's hardware rasterized. Yeah, but basically, I think you get now a good overview. For example, this scene, I increased the memory, of course, because it's quite complex. The max cluster count is also could be set a bit lower because it automatically adjusts. The max triangle count does currently not adjust automatically. So if you see some strange flickering going on and your tris count is going way too high over the max tris count, then you know you have to increase this. Streaming size, basically the same. If the streaming cache is going too high, then yeah, you should consider increasing it. You can also do this here with the there should be a debug. I think yeah, the streaming cache debug is also with the stats here visible. Yeah, I think that's it. If you have more questions or want to, I think I missed something here in the tutorial, let me know. Yeah, but basically that's it. Yeah, as you can see, there's some flickering here going on. Interesting. Really also depends on which buffer we are using. It's actually more the low res objects that flicker than the high res objects. So yeah, I'm just trying to find a good solution for all these small issues, but I think we will get there at some point. Sorry that it takes so long, but yeah, during development, you never know what will actually work and not work. And I'm currently at the state with the system where I'm actually very happy that we are at the state where we can really get this amount of details here. I mean, this is actually insane how much mesh data there's in the scene here. As you can see, most of it is really, really detailed here, most of these meshes. And yeah, really happy that this works, even if there are small issues, but I can just continue to work on it and improve it. And I think yeah, we will get at some point. And yeah, I will just keep you updating, and I hope that in a few weeks this will look a lot better. But as you know, I can't really tell. And if you ask me again when will be the release, I can just do guesses. And at the moment, I really yeah, I'm really missing a bit of the support from my team member here, and so I'm really just working alone on this project. I mean, I have a bit of support with the AI, but it's not always helping. And yeah, but I think we'll get there. Yeah, it's just stay optimistic, and we can yeah, just hope for the best. And my goal is to really get this done. But as you can see, and this is still not production ready, and too many glitches, too slow. And if we're going to add shadows in here and textures, the FPS will drop. And yeah, if you, I mean, this could currently maybe run with 30 FPS or so, maybe, I don't know. I didn't test it right, but does it really make sense at that point to have something that's so slow? I don't think so. I mean, it's still faster than without nanotech, but we really want to go higher. The goal is really to get yeah, at least 60 FPS, or here like 90, even 100, depending on, of course, on the scene. But now I think that there should be even more content in the scene, and yeah, we're still not there, but maybe we will be there in a few weeks. Okay, so that's my currently state, and yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. And yeah, see you. Bye.